Hello, everyone. My name is Mike, and welcome to On the Grind. Well, I was sitting there the other day going through some pictures of my daughter. She's at Campbell University now in North Carolina. She's trying to be a doctor. She's doing great. She's in the medical program up there. She's just killing it, and I'm real proud of her. She just did it. She's like, look, this is what I want to do, and I'm just going to do it. And I couldn't be more proud of her for that. And I was going through some pictures and, just reminiscing about her. And when I think she was between 3 and 5, is when we've never had any real problems with Taylor. We've never had any problems, any real problems with her. Never anything. She's been an awesome kid, you know, always made good grades, always, she's just been a great kid. And I remember, but somewhere between 3 and 5, or somewhere around that age, she went through a really hard time. She was very spunky. She was very, she was disobedient. Some people say terrible twos, but for her, it was more somewhere between 3 and 5. And she was a terror sometimes. I remember we couldn't put her in the car seat. I had to literally take my head and put my head in her chest and just push her into the car seat and hold her legs while my wife was holding her hands so we could try to buckle her up. So I had her like this with my head, in her, and then I tried to buckle her up. And then we had to put it really tight, not tight enough to cut off the circulation, but just, we'd put it really tight and then just ease it off a little bit and just be like, don't move. You just, because she'd always get out. And she hated being in a car seat. And then there were times where, like during Christmas, she would like wait for the perfect opportunity, wait when we weren't paying attention, take like a minute, and then she'd just run out the door. I'm gonna go see the Christmas light, just gone. And we would have to look all through the neighborhood trying to find her because she was off trying to find Christmas lights on houses. She was just a terror. And she you'd be asleep and you'd hear the Christmas tree fall and you'd hear her going, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. You'd run in, Christmas tree be on the ground because she was trying to climb up and get something. And it was always something during this time of her life. She was just nuts at this time of her life. Well, I remember one time we were having a bad week. You ever just have a bad week with your kids where it just seems like y'all can't get on the same page? And as a toddler, you never are on the same page with your child as a toddler. Let's just get that out, all right? But we were just having a bad week with her, and it's towards the end of the week, and it's just like, so I had to put her in her room for timeout because she had done something and she hated being in timeout. It wasn't at night, it was even during the day. She just hated being in timeout. And we put her in timeout and I had to shut the door and hold on to the door. And she's losing her mind. She's screaming and beating on the door. Daddy, let me out, let me out, let me out. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And she just hated the door being shut. She just hated it. She'd rather get whipped than to go to timeout. And I remember opening the door and I'm looking down at her. And she looked like Darla from The Little Rascals. She had this dark hair, so cute. I remember looking at her and her face is all red and she's crying. She looks up at me with this face, man, this just her little lips poking out, and she's looking up at me. And I just had to pick her up. I couldn't leave her in there anymore. I just couldn't. And so I picked her up and I just held her. And I was thinking about that time the other day while I was going through all these pictures. And I really believe that's how we have to come to Jesus as a child. I remember I was going through some hard times, and I remember just, putting aside my pride, putting aside, just going into a room, shutting the door and just dropping to my knees and just like, Jesus, just make this better for right now. Just everything has just overwhelmed me so much. Can you just make this better right now? And I think that's what God means when he says, come to me as a child. Have faith as a child would. Then I'm going to take care of this. When I opened the door and I saw my little girl standing there, I knew all she wanted was for the present pain and an uncomfortable situation she was going through to just be over. She just wanted it done. She just wanted it over with. And I remember when I picked her up, you could just feel everything just leave her. You could feel all this. When I was sitting there holding her, you could just feel like she was okay. And I remember she's sitting there like patting me on the back. When I pick her up, I'm rubbing her back and she's patting me on mine. And I just remember when Jesus says, come to me like a child and have faith like a child. I picture that. You know, can we just put everything aside and just go to Jesus and say, hey, can you make it better just for right now? Because sometimes life is so overwhelming. I need my Father. I need Christ. I need my Father that's in heaven to just kind of grab me and say, you know, it's going to be all right. And just to feel like everything's going to be okay. I know a lot of times he doesn't change the situation right away. I know a lot of times we got to go through some things and we don't really understand why. But I promise you this, by going to Christ as a child, by having faith in him as a child, when you drop to your knees and pray and just let it all out to him, I promise you, you'll feel better. If not in the long run, right? You'll feel better in the long run, but right then, a lot of your anxiety just goes away. So, come to Jesus as a child. And Taylor, don't hate me for putting this out. This was a good analogy, sweetie. All right? Daddy loves you. All right. Well, thanks for watching. My name's Mike, and I'll see you next time on The Grind.